guys.
Long time no see.
Long time no see. It's been a hot minute since we've recorded anything.
Yep.
As you can probably tell by how tired we look, Teddy is finally here.
Yep. We have had our baby, which is crazy. He is 2 weeks old as of yesterday.
Yes.
So we thought it would now be a good time to talk about our birth story. We were going to film a birth vlog, but everything happened so quick that we just didn't get the chance to, and we were too involved in...
You put yourself in the moment and you can't really think about anything else.
No, so there isn't a birth vlog, unfortunately, and the clips we did have, we ended up deleting, and I will explain why in just a sec. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below. If you want to watch our pregnancy journey up to having Teddy, then there'll be a link to that playlist down below and also in the iCloud above our heads. Our latest video includes a bump transformation, so from me being 4 weeks pregnant to having a huge bump at 39 weeks. So if you want to watch that, that will be in the playlist as well. So my labour technically started on the 12th of September. So I was in early labour for...
Officially on the 12th.
2 and a bit days.
Yeah.
So about 2.5 days I was in early or latent labour for, which was rough.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie.
Tough.
Because I ended up going to hospital on the 12th and they confirmed that I was about 1.5 centimetres dilated. Oh, someone's waking up. So yeah, I went to the hospital on the 12th, and that was about 8 o'clock in the evening, and they confirmed that I was between 1 and 2 centimetres dilated, and I was about 80% effaced.
Yeah.
So I was having contractions on and off for 2 days. On the 14th of September, in the very early hours of the 14th of September, I woke you up at about 1:30 in the morning with horrendous pains, and I assumed that they were contractions. So I waited it out for as long as I could, and it got to about 3:30, I think.
Yeah, it got to about 3:15 in the morning before we decided, okay, well, we need to go to hospital.
Yeah, so I called the hospital. They asked me to come in and they wanted to check me over because the hospitals in the UK, unless you're 4 centimetres dilated or past 4 centimetres dilated, they won't let you in the hospital. They won't let you stay in the hospital. So I thought that this was it because the pain was very bad. So you drove me to hospital at 4 a.m.
And they unfortunately told you the same thing they told you on the 12th, being that you're only about 1 centimetre dilated. And there's really not much they can do.
Yeah. They did send me the first, I forgot to mention, the first time I went to hospital, so on the 12th, they actually sent me home with some Oromorph, which is a branch of morphine. That they give you, and a TENS machine, the TENS machine did actually help quite a lot. I originally wasn't intending on using one, but the hospital very kindly lent me one of theirs to take home and to not rent out, it was borrowing for free.
Yeah, in essence.
And that did help quite a lot, so I would invest in a TENS machine. We got home at about 6, it was about 20 to 6 in the morning. It was 20 to 6 in the morning, I remember. I remember seeing the clock. You, bless your heart, woke up at like 8 o'clock and still managed to do a full working day from 9 until 5.
Love that.
You're working from home, but still it must have been tough. Those pains didn't diminish. They were still very intense, and they were getting more intense throughout the day of the 14th. Your parents came round, they did some shopping for us because I couldn't move. You finished work at 5 o'clock and I said, I think I need to go to hospital again. Yeah.
So again, you gave the ward a ring and they said, okay, well, come back in.
Oh, forgot to mention, I also lost my mucus plug at that point. I had my bloody show. What time was that? That was after you'd finished work.
Yeah, it was, it must have been about 5:15.
Yeah,
it wasn't long after I finished work.
I went to the toilet and wiped, and my bloody show was there. It was quite big And
this might be too much information.
It was brown. It was brown tinged as well. I thought I had been losing my mucus plug for a few days before because I was getting this weird greeny mucusy stuff. But this was the real deal. So I called the hospital, said I'm having really bad contractions, and I think I've lost my bloody show as well. So they said, right, we think that things might be progressing a bit more now. So come back in and we'll check you again. You drove me in
the middle of rush hour. Drove you all the way to the hospital.
Yeah.
We arrived at the hospital about 6 p.m. on the 14th.
Yes.
And then you headed up and saw some nurses and stuff and waited around for a while.
Yeah.
And then after a while, it was about 50 minutes. So about 10 to 7, you gave me a call because unfortunately I can't go in until you're 4 centimetres dilated.
And because of coronavirus as well.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mess. But you gave me a call at 10 to 7 and said, they've checked me. I'm officially 4 centimetres dilated. You're officially in established labour. And then I had to rush around and sort all the car parking out and bring all the bags up.
Yeah. When they said, you're in established labour, I was then moved into a birthing suite. I
guess you'd call it a birthing suite. It was a birthing room.
So because of my low PAPA, I was under consultant-led care for the majority, all of my pregnancy, to be honest. So there wasn't much point in me being under midwife-led care for birth. So I was on a ward rather than in a birthing centre. But they do have separate rooms with like an ensuite bathroom and things like that. So
birthing balls and beanbags.
Yeah, it's not much different to like a birthing centre.
No. After this point, we officially moved into the birthing centre.
Yep.
As of 7 p.m.
And I was given gas and air.
Yep.
The nurse, bless her, she forgot to turn it on while I was having a contraction. So I was having a contraction. She said, "Here's the gas and air," or Entonox as it's known.
Medically known, yeah. So
she gave me the gas and air, and she forgot to turn it on, so I had to breathe through that contraction without anything happening. Yeah, things progressed quite quickly from there.
Things did progress quite quickly from there. So,
sorry, we are referring to the notes on Tom's phone.
Yeah, if you're wondering why we keep looking this way, it's because the notes are over here.
The majority of that day is a blur.
Especially when you've been awake for that long.
Yeah.
Your contractions continued up until about 8:30. They were getting quite heavy, they were getting very strong. Very strong, and you were relying on the Entonox quite a lot. About 8:30, the physician, the midwife decided that you were progressing far enough that she was quite happy to manually break your waters.
Yeah.
So again, unfortunately, the water breaking moment that a lot of people see on TV, it doesn't always happen. No,
so I had my waters manually broken for me. My waters didn't break, but he was very low down. They could feel his head when they were checking me.
Yeah.
But he just wasn't putting enough pressure on my cervix or his membranes for them to break, so they manually broke them for
manually me. Had to do it. So your waters are manually broken around 25 minutes to 9.
Yeah.
So it'd been a good hour and a half more than of these quite strong, quick contractions. And then after your waters were manually broken,
they checked me again.
They checked you again, and that's when they gave you the pethidine. Now that was about, I want to say it was
about 8:45. I think they gave me it quite soon after that.
You had pethidine, you had your waters manually broken, and then it got to 20 to 9, and you're officially 6 centimetres dilated.
Yeah. The reason why they checked me as well was because they noticed that Teddy's heart rate was dropping every time I was having a contraction. So they had to check me so they could put a clip on the top of his head, just so they could monitor his heart rate a bit more closely, because I had the straps with the wireless monitors on my stomach, but they weren't picking up my contractions, and they were struggling to pick up his heart rate effectively, so they decided to put a clip on his head.
It got to about 20 past 9, and it was at this point that, of course, as you were progressing, it was getting more and more painful for you, and the Entonox wasn't really doing much to it.
All the pethidine, to be honest.
All the pethidine wasn't really touching it, so you did ask for an epidural to be administered, and that was administered at 20 past 9.
Yeah.
So at that point, Yeah, the contractions quite hard. You were screaming quite a lot into a tube.
Yeah. Because what they have to do with an epidural, they have to do it in between contractions, so it does elongate the process quite a lot of giving an epidural. Usually they do it in about 5 or 10 minutes, but because they have to wait until each contraction, which is coming every 2 to 3 minutes, they have to stop, wait for the contraction to go, and then do each step of the process. So they did have to give me a cannula in my hand, and I had to wrap that up quite a lot in some bandages because I kept knocking it every time I was having a contraction. And that was because his heart rate was dropping a little bit. They were giving me fluids to see if that would help with his heart rate. I had the epidural put in, and they put a bladder catheter in because obviously I was pretty much numb from the waist down, so you don't know when you need to go to the toilet.
Yeah, it happens.
And we did manage to get a little bit of sleep.
Yes, so it was at this point where everything sort of began to calm down.
Yeah.
Your contractions were becoming more manageable. You regained some control.
Yeah.
And
I
this
did
continued.
I did still have to use the gas and air occasionally.
Yeah.
With the epidural. It was still quite uncomfortable. So I would still have to kind of rely on the gas and air to get me through a contraction, but it was definitely a lot more manageable.
Yeah, it then led on into lots of trying to relax and trying to just breathe through the contractions as they came. And then on midwife instruction, it was also like, you should probably get some sleep as well.
Yeah, that was hard to get some sleep.
Yeah, it was tough.
I was more kind of like half asleep, kind of, it's hard to describe when you're on high, you're on such a high because you have so much adrenaline in your system, you have so many drugs in your system. It is hard to kind of get some sleep.
It's hard to get some rest.
So not much happened between like after I had the epidural.
Yes, I mean after you had the epidural, there wasn't much activity.
No, they don't like.
They don't continually check you. They don't come back every like 10 minutes and be like, oh, was it there? Oh, was it here? Was it here?
No, they just kind of let things.
They let things go and progress as they should.
Yeah, they didn't check me again.
Until 2 in the morning, actually.
Yes, because once your waters are broken, your risk of infection is higher because there's no barrier between the baby and bacteria.
So it got to about 2 in the morning. We both woke up.
Yeah.
I was still awake. I didn't really get much sleep, and neither did you. But at this point, you sort of felt like, oh, okay, it feels like there's quite a lot of pressure down there, and you got checked again. And at this point, they told us, hey, you're 10 centimetres, you're fully dilated.
They could feel his head. His head was very low down. I did mention to the midwife, I have this funny feeling like in my legs. And she said, try and breathe through it, try and get a bit more sleep. But then about half an hour later, I said, look, I still feel this feeling. And she checked me and she could feel his head. Which
was a pretty magical moment for us because it's sort of like, oh, wow. No,
it's happening, he's
coming.
That's
quicker than expected.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, at this point, we were both awake. It was about 2 in the morning. And then it got to about 20 minutes past 2 before you started feeling a proper urge to push.
Yeah.
And then from there, it was a lot of pushing. There was a lot of screaming. Well, not screaming.
I actually didn't scream.
You didn't scream that badly. I will say that badly. You did a couple of times.
I did. I grunted a couple of times.
Naturally.
They were quite
guttural
instinct.
Yeah, because you have that birth reflex essentially. 20 past 2 in the morning, you started pushing, and then it just really progressed from there very quickly. And at 10 minutes to 3 in the morning on the 15th of September at this point, if you've been keeping track of the timeline, he was born.
Yeah.
2:50, 15th of September.
2:50 in the morning.
Yeah.
And he was 6 pounds and 8 ounces.
Yeah.
So he was tiny compared to what he was estimated to be.
He was estimated to be about 8 pounds.
Yeah.
So he's smaller than he was supposed to be, or we'd been told he was going to be. But that again wasn't really a problem at all at that point. It was all just relaxing and enjoying. And then the rest was sort of the clean-up operation. You came onto your chest immediately after it came out. You had some skin-to-skin, which was really nice.
Yeah, you cut the cord.
I unfortunately didn't have any skin-to-skin, but again, I got some later on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I cut the cord, and that was that. They left us alone for about an hour.
Yep, they gave me an injection to help speed up the process of delivering the placenta. That was just my personal preference. You do have the option.
You do have the option to do it naturally, don't you?
Yeah, but I just wanted to spend all the time I could with Teddy, so I just wanted it done. But I had a 2nd degree perineal tear. They are quite common.
Yeah.
So it's not severe, but it's not like minimal either. It's kind of like the midpoint.
It's the middle of the road. It's not like, oh god, it's awful, and it's not like, yeah, it's nothing.
But they did put dissolvable stitches in. I thought that would have to get them manually taken out, but they dissolve. I think they have pretty much dissolved now. I do have the occasional moment of, ooh, I think I can still feel something. But recovery has been good.
Yeah, recovery, you've been doing fantastically on recovery. You've just powered through it.
Yeah, I was up and about. Basically, so after you left, you got asked to leave at about 5:30
this was about 5:30, skip forward a bit, about 5:30 in the morning after we spent some time with him. I put him in his first outfit, which was adorable. I loved doing that, putting him in his first little sleep suit, and the little hat as well. But yeah, it got to about 5:30 in the morning, and again, because of what's happening in global situation at the moment, I couldn't go down to the ward with you guys.
No.
So I had to actually come back here, and drive home at about 20 to 6 in the morning, after very little sleep on a beanbag. I was surprised I made it home. But yeah, I got home, and then you guys spent a couple of days on the ward, so they could monitor you, especially because obviously if you've had an epidural, they need to keep you in longer to make sure that you're still functioning.
And they want to make sure that breastfeeding or whatever kind of feeding is established. I'll go into our feeding journey in another video probably, because that has been a bit of...
It's been tough. It's been tough on both of us.
Yeah, so I'll go through that in another video.
I came and picked these guys up on the 17th. They spent 2 nights on the ward. So the first night on the ward was the night of the 16th. We already prepped for that, so you'd had enough clothes for him and for you, of course.
Yeah.
And then on the 17th, I had to come back and organise some visiting hours to come and see you guys for an hour. Bring you guys lots of fizzy... Well, I brought you some fizzy drinks and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I also bought both of you some more clothes. But yeah, and then from there, it was on the evening of the 17th, about dinner time.
We came home.
Yeah, you said, we're ready to go. So came and picked you up, put him in the car seat, which he actually really enjoys the car seat.
He does. We'll see if we can get him out and give you guys a quick peek. So this, I don't know if you can see him properly, but this is little Teddy. 2 weeks old as of yesterday. Yeah. So that was our birth story for our little man. He's getting a bit crumbly.
You waking up now? He wants some food in the moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was our birth story.
Yeah.
For little Teddy here.
So I will be doing postpartum updates and newborn updates, hopefully. So that will be in a couple of weeks. Can't believe how fast time's going already.
It's going crazy quick.
Yeah, if you have enjoyed this video and want to see more updates on little Teddy, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, leave a like or a comment, and we will see you in the next one. Bye. Bye.